how do guides communicate with me? How do guides communicate with us? This is really important, and this is probably what you've been waiting on, because most people want to know, well, I want to know how to connect to them. Like, how do I talk to them? And I'm going to go ahead and share a little secret with you. You already are, okay? Your guides, your spirit team, the ways that they communicate with you is very, very subtle. And the reason for this is because they're already with you all the time. Spirit doesn't have the same limitations that we have as humans. They don't have bodies that prevent them from going anywhere. They're actually everywhere all at once. And you are spirit. You are spirit having a human experience. And because of this, you can connect to spirit at any time. In fact, you're connecting to spirit all of the time. The thing is most of the time, we're just not aware that we're connecting to spirit because it is so subtle. And what I mean by subtle, I mean you're not going to hear a voice that doesn't sound like you pop in your head and say, Megan, I want you to take a left up here at this red light. Like, it doesn't really work like that. They're part of you. So it's going to feel very familiar. And any references that they make, any signs or symbols or anything like that they try to send you, that they want to show you, they're going to be familiar to you. So when spirit communicates with you, a lot of times it's going to feel like you're making it up in your head. It's going to feel like it came from your own mind. You might get a random word that pops into your mind and it sounds like your own voice. You may turn the radio on and a song plays, but it reminds you of something that you need to do. You may hear a song in your head that you hadn't heard in a while, but the lyrics are very powerful or very meaningful. You may see a vision of the grocery store and it looks just like the grocery store that you already go to. You may hear the voice of your favorite character from TV. You know, like, they're going to use things that you already understand. They're going to say things or communicate with you in ways that are familiar to you. They're not going to startle you. They're not going to do anything to scare you unless it's like a life or death situation. And I'll say that there's definitely some times where you might be startled or something might catch you by surprise. But it's normally either A, because you've been ignoring them and they really, really, really want to get a message through, or it's like a very dire situation and there was no choice but to startle you. So I want you to think about like what your clairs are. And if you don't know, then you can definitely do a Google search. I'm going to cover the clairs in the future. But your clairs are how you perceive the spirit world, how you perceive the unseen. And most people use all of the clairs, but predominantly we have one or two or three that we use the most frequently. And your spirit team knows this. So they're going to communicate with you using these clairs because they know that those are the ones that are the most familiar to you. So let's say that you're clairvoyant. Clairvoyant means clear sight. So they're going to send you images, pictures, and messages in your mind's eye that are familiar to you. It may be a scene from one of your favorite movies. It may be a picture that you've seen before. It's not going to be something super like foreign to you, okay? It's going to be something that you understand. And I'll just tell you an example from my own personal life. So when I was a kid, I had a spirit guide, and he presented himself to me as a spooky skeleton. And yes, I literally mean a spooky skeleton, like the little cartoon drawing where it's like the little cartoon skeleton that bends and moves and looks all funny. And this was because I was a spooky kid. Like, I loved Nightmare Before Christmas. I loved skeletons. I loved Halloween. Like, I loved all that kind of stuff. So I had a guide that would present himself to me as a skeleton. And he would do little funny dances and stuff like that in my head. But that was actually my God just trying to cheer me up, just trying to make me have a good day, making me feel like, like I had somebody. So, like, if you're very clairvoyant, then you may hear things. Don't be surprised if you hear things in your own voice. This doesn't mean that you're making it up. This doesn't mean that it's not your God. Okay? Like, it's not. Most of the time, I would say like 99.9% of the time, it's in my own voice. And an example of clairaudience is Kyle Gray. If you're not familiar with him, he does a lot of angel work. He has a lot of books about the angels and that kind of stuff. He's really great. But he has a story that he likes to tell that I love telling the story. I love hearing him tell the story more. But so when he first started doing angel readings, his mom, I think, or his mom or like his grandmother, no, it wasn't his grandmother because his grandmother had passed away. His mom, I think, had like this party with like all of the friends and all of the neighborhood people over, and everybody was excited to see Kyle because he had been doing readings and angel readings and stuff, and he was kind of getting popular in his hometown, and so everybody was excited to talk to him. And this guy comes up to him that was like a family friend and asked him to do a reading for him and see if the angels had anything for him. And so he does, and all of a sudden the song by Destiny's Child, Survivor, starts playing in his head, and it's like, I'm a survivor. And so that's a song that he knows, like that's a pop culture reference. And so he just looks at the guy and he's like, "You're a survivor." And the guy's just kind of taken aback a little bit and is looking at him like, "Where are you going with this?" And then all of a sudden he hears, I'm not exactly sure how he got the second bit of information. I don't know if he heard it or if he just intuitively knew. But he just looked at the guy and said, "You tried to commit suicide, but survived." And the guy was actually upset because, that's really sensitive. And he wasn't expecting that to come out of Kyle's mouth, and it really surprised him. But he was right. The guy had tried to commit suicide, and I want to say his partner came home and stopped him, was able to save him. But anyways, that is an example of what clairaudience could be like. It's not going to sound like this deep voice that's telling you to not do something. Like, sometimes it's really that simple. So pay attention to the random thoughts that pop in your head, to the random images that pop into your mind, to the animals around you, to the songs that come on the radio, to the gut feelings that you get. Your spirit team, they know your routines, they know your likes, they know your dislikes. They know how you communicate, and they know how to get through to you. All you have to do is become more aware of this.